Good evening, brothers and sisters. It's your brother Rams here, and as always, I'm glad to be back on the airwaves, passing on the knowledge to all my brothers and sisters, black, white, and everybody in between. First and foremost, I always say thank you to all my supporters and subscribers out there. Uh, Without you, this wouldn't be a podcast without your support. So I am deeply humbled and deeply appreciative of all your support, and I thank you so very much. But one of the main things I want you all to take with you as you leave the podcast, I want you to go tell others about Brother Ram's podcast. His brother's dropping heavy knowledge for all of us to benefit from so we can live together in the 21st century because we understand two basic premises, as I always say. Time moves forward and everything must change. So right now, I'm going to get right into the political situations here. And I just want to start off by saying, first and foremost, I want to say happy Memorial Day, Memorial Day weekend to all the veterans and uh, military folks out there, those who have passed away and those who are still in the military. I want to take my hat off to you and appreciate your service and think of your loved ones that have passed on in the defense of America. So again, pass this word on to others on Brother Ram's podcast. It's hard hitting, it's very informative, and good knowledge to have as you try to make sense of all this foolishness. But I'm going to get right into it right. First one, like I said, I want to say happy Memorial Day to all those out there. Well, former soldiers, soldiers, the past, the present. I just want to say thank you again for your service. But what is Memorial Day? Memorial Day is a celebration of our armed service, honoring past and present soldiers who have served their country by protecting America and giving their life to defend the Constitution. Okay, giving their life to defend the Constitution, brothers and sisters. This is what Memorial Day is about. It's a celebration, but it's an honor. All right, it's an honor. But of course, I'm going to start off with black history in the military. Yeah, I got to do it because we've been a part of the American military since America began. Okay, we've been part of the American military since America began. And I'm going to give you some groups that some of you don't really know, but I've discussed them before, and I'm going to discuss them again. And one of them is called the Harlem Hellfighters. It's called the 369th Infantry Regiment, and they were from New York. Makes sense, Harlem Hellfighters. And these were some tough brothers. They were fierce, man. They fought hard, okay? And they fought in World War One, okay? World War One. And because of strict segregation, strict segregation, right? They were placed under the French command. So their commanders were the French, even though they were so-called Americans. So-called. I say so-called. These brothers, how heavy they are. They spent 191 days on the front line. Of course, they put the black man on the front line. Okay, they spent 191 days on the front line. And back then they dealt with trench warfare. You dig a ditch, everybody getting different ditches, and we go to war like that. So, and it was around 1919. But one of the things that the Harlem Hellfighters, the 369th, they never lost a foot of ground. In other words, they never retreated. Them brothers never retreated, Jack. They strong and fierce. The Germans even admitted it. They said, them dudes, you gonna catch hell fighting them. Thus the name Harlem Hellfighters. Okay? They never lost a foot of ground or had a man ever captured. The brothers. You see what I'm saying? The brothers. Black men contributing. This is in World War One. Okay? And they were the first Allied unit to reach the Rhine. That's in France. Okay? They were the first Allied unit to reach the Rhine. Another group, black folks that you may never heard of, but have contributed mightily to American freedom, justice, and equality that we hope to seek, but we're struggling here in America, even though we fought and died in every war, and even including the Revolutionary War. Okay? From every war, the black man was somehow involved in defending and trying to uplift America. But there's another uh, 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 um, military battalion. They were tank battalion. They were called the 761st Tank Battalion. And the type of tank that they drove, this is all black now, was a Panther. It's called a Panther tank. Okay? So guess what they were called? They were called the Black Panthers. This is long before that movie. They were called the Black Panthers. This is a legitimate tank battalion. Black men's. Okay? They were formed in 1942 during World War II. Again, military was racially segregated, and they were assigned to General Patton's Third Army, the 761st Tank Battalion. That's them brothers, Jack. Okay? They were the first black unit to see combat. They endured, get this, brothers and sisters, they endured a staggering 183 consecutive days of battle. That's half a year fighting every day, man. Damn, them brothers had some heart. Where you brothers today? Because we need you. Like I said in my last podcast, we need the Shaka Zulus now because we're at war. Trump and Republicans have waged a secret war on black America. Whether you want to believe it or not, or you could take it or let it alone. But all you got to do is look around you, brothers and sisters. All right? They spent 183 days in consecutive battles. And that was across France, Belgium, and Germany. And they played a crucial role. And you heard of this battle in the Battle of the Bulge. Black men's up there fighting in tanks. The 761st Tank Battalion. Black men's. This is a little black history to show you we part of everything, baby. We part of everything. Okay? I'm going to a third one now. You've heard of these brothers. It's called the Tuskegee Airmen. Oh yeah, they're known as the Red Tails. They were trained in Tuskegee, Alabama. That's part of my roots, Alabama. Okay? Over 900 pilots trained there. And they were joined by vital support personnel, including navigators, bombardiers. That's the brothers that they look in the little thing there to see where to drop the bombs at. Bombardiers, mechanics, of course, and instructors. They initially formed the 99th Fighter Squadron. They were initially the 99th Fighter Squadron. As the numbers grew, they combined the 99th Fighter Squadron with the 100th Fighter Squadron with the 301st Fighter Squadron. And collectively, they became as the 322 Fighter Group. So let me reiterate that. The 99th Squadron combined with the 100th Squadron, combined with the 301st Fighter Squadron, collectively became the 322 Fighter Group. Them brothers, serious now. They flew over 1,500. Excuse me. I'm sorry. My numbers is messed up. Give me a break here, brothers. They flew over 15,000 sorties. Now, what is a sortie? A sortie is a military term generally referring to a single, referring to a single unit, vehicle, or aircraft. A single a single unit or aircraft. That's what it is. Okay? That's what it is. It's a sortie. And or a single aircraft or a deployment by a single unit, a vehicle or aircraft. That's like I said. Now let me give you an example of a sortie. If 5 planes took off to do reconnaissance, they're on one mission, 5 airplanes took off to do reconnaissance, then what will happen? What happens is this. That's considered 5 sorties. And the Tuskegee Airmen flew 15,000 of them and 1,000 combat missions. That's them brothers there, man. And remember, they're known as the Red Tails. Now, why was they called the Red Tails, my brother? Because for their distinctive, listen to what I'm saying, to their distinctive aircraft. You know, black people, we got something about us. We got to style things up, man. We just can't fly a regular airplane. We got to style it up, let everybody know it's us. We coming, baby. That's the black man. We always styling it up because we're part of the original people. That's our culture, to style it up, dress it up, sharpen it up. So this is what they did to them brothers. I love it, man. Which included they bright red tails. Makes sense, the red tails. But they had a red nose band. So the front of the plane had a red nose, the tail was red. And even the propeller spinners were red. See, we hooked it up, baby. The red tail's main job was to escort U.S. bombers on bombing missions. See, so in the military, they go to bomb. Okay, let's picture this, brothers and sisters. They go to bomb. You turn around. So now they got to have protection because the other side will send fighters at them to shoot them down. So the Red Tails were there to prevent the opposition from shooting at the American bombers. They were the protection. They were the shield. And America's had some very, very successful bombing missions, thankful to the Red Tails, the Tuskegee Airmen. Okay? They were there to protect against enemy fighter planes. And they said once they shot down 3 German jet planes. Oh. Now remember, these brothers flew prop planes with a propeller. The prop plane means propeller. But the Germans were so far advanced in technology, they had jet planes back then. And the brothers shot 3 of them down. Oh, yeah, and I got to remind you about you know how they do us sometimes, brothers and sisters. Now, the planes they were flying, they were raggedy. They weren't the best of planes. So they give us the raggedy plane. That's that racism and stuff coming in. Here, you fly these old raggedy planes. And if you get killed, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. We killed a Negro, and we possibly got rid of an enemy. Two-edged sword. So we will have to fly the raggedy planes, but we had some hellified mechanics. That's the gods right there. God gave them the knowledge how to fix them raggedy planes and have them flying and humming like a bird. Mechanics, black mechanics. All right? And that was on March 24th, 1945. They shot them 3 German jet planes. They had a jet versus a prop plane. But they shut them down, damn it! The strength of the black man. Show it to you right there. Oh, yeah. So what do we got already so far? We got the 369th Harlem Hellfighters. We got the 761st Black Panther Tank Battalion. We got them. Oh, yeah. Okay. We got the Tank Battalion. We got the Tuskegee Airmen. And we also have, I can't forget the sisters now. Come on, Rams. You can't, you got to talk about some sisters too. They part of it. See, men's and women serve to protect America's Constitution and their rights. Black men's and women. You've heard me say this group. It's called the 6888. It's called the 6888. It's the Central Postal Directory Battalion. The 6888. All right? Who were they? They were all black women. Army Corps, WAC. Women's Army Corps, that's what it stands for, WAC. And I'll tell you about them right now. Them sisters was powerful, daggone it. And they were during World War II. And it consisted of 855 black women. Famous for clearing massive year-long military mail backlog. Mail getting all backed up. They don't know how to get it to the soldiers. Them sisters came marching in there. They handled their business. That's the 6888. Black women. Okay? Ensuring they cleared out that backlog of mail, ensuring millions of soldiers stay connected to their loved ones from home. Beautiful thing. Them sisters, beautiful. That's a little bit of black history and how this pertains to Memorial Day. So, black man and woman, you got to understand something. You have to understand something here, brothers and sisters. But there's a dark side to us serving in the military. Brother Ramsey, I know you had to come with it. I said, I have to come with it because it's the truth. And I have to explain history to you. There's a dark side to this. What happened to our black veterans when they returned home? Let's take a look, as your brother say. Sad, but it's dark, but we got to look at it. Because if we don't look at it, then we're destined to repeat it. So we must make sure as we move forward, like I say in my podcast, nothing stays the same. Everything must move forward. All right? After both World War I and World War II, black veterans returned to the U.S. Black veterans. Now, they defended America all over the land in Europe and all over the place. South Pacific, every damn place. Defending America. But this is what the brothers and sisters came home to. So I'm going to make it plain for you. Brother Ramey looking fired up because I understand some because some of my peoples was in the military. And the older ones told me about this foolishness here. After both World War I and World War II, black veterans returned to the U.S. to face extreme, listen to what I said, extreme racial hostility and systematic disenfranchisement. You didn't hear what I just said. They faced extreme racial hostility, damn it, and systematic disenfranchisement and violent attacks, often because white supremacists, remember white supremacists, viewed their military service and demands for equality as a threat. See, in the military, it was segregated, but it started easing. Because once America realized that they need the black soldier, because America was getting their butt whipped before they joined the war in 1941 with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. They sort of wasn't in it, but Japan drug them into it. And then in the South Pacific, America took a beating. The Japanese beat America's behind in the South Pacific. You can take that a little alone, but it's military history. They were taking a beating in the South Pacific until the Battle of Midway. The Battle of Midway was the key factor there in the South Pacific. So that's a little military history for y'all. All right? But they came back with these demands of so-called demands of being equal, but that was a threat. It was a threat to Jim Crow social order. It was a threat to the Jim Crow social order, man. After World War II, trying to achieve both foreign and domestic equality via the NAACP, they had filed a case of double versus campaign for equality in the military. And they tried to do this through the courts. These veterans faced two major issues when they got home. When they got home, they faced a couple of major issues. They ran into brutality and hate crimes. Many veterans were assaulted, blinded, or lynched for demanding basic respect. They were lynched. They were brutalized. Here's a classic example of what we're talking about. His name was Sergeant Isaac Woodard. Isaac Woodard. Yep, Isaac Woodard. He was brutally beaten and permanently blinded. Damn, brothers. By South Carolina police in 1946. Brother Woodard was blinded and brutally beaten. But here's my damn issue. He was wearing an American uniform, damn it. He was wearing a uniform in the military, trying to save their stinking behinds. He was wearing his uniform proudly, like so many white American veterans were doing. And they saw him wearing the uniform, and they brutally beat him and blinded him permanently. Isaac Woodard. This is what you faced. Okay? The second major issue, and this is the big one. This is the big of the double big. Because this was a critical part of history that could have helped our people. It's called the GI Bill. The GI Bill's discrimination, you hear me? That hurt us. This bill provided millions of white veterans. This is critical. It provided millions of white veterans with, first of all, tuition for college, job training, and low cost, here's the big one, low cost mortgages to buy homes. Stop right there. To be able to buy a home. The right to buy a home. Low cost mortgages because they were served in the military. These benefits were largely denied to the black veterans. So we couldn't establish no kind of generational wealth, brothers and sisters, by buying a home. Because, hey, you're still 3/5 of a human. I'm coming to that. So you don't get them benefits. Even though you died and laid down your life and fought for American freedom and justice and the Constitution, you do not have that right. And what that did, it crushed black generational wealth. And I'm going to show you how. Because localized administrations and the Jim Crow housing market, you can't, we ain't selling no Negro no home. No Negro no gets no home. No Negroes, no. No coloreds, no. Mm-mm. Jim Crow housing market locked them out of the generational wealth. Good God Almighty. You ain't buying no home. We ain't gonna qualify you for no home. And that denied black people wealth building. And that defined the post-war American middle class. A lot of the middle class came from that GI Bill because their grandparents and all them went to war and got the benefits and bought a little house and made it work. And they had that chance to grow into the middle class. That was the defining moment for the American middle class. But we were left out of that at a critical time in history, brothers and sisters. Critical time. So that's why many of our brothers and sisters who served in the military, they still didn't have nothing because they weren't able to take advantage of the GI Bill. And here's the key piece. That brutality that they face, at least several dozens of lynched, sometimes were still wearing their military uniform. They saw the brothers in the military uniform and they lynched them, man. See, they wearing it proud like the white veterans. And they had every right to be proud because they represented America, but America wouldn't let them be proud. America wouldn't let them be proud. So they lynched them, hung them in their uniform. Throughout history, brothers and sisters, the black man and woman have laid down their lives to defend America. They've laid down their lives to defend America from Crispus Attucks of the Revolutionary War to the present. They have sacrificed their lives for the Constitution of the United States. They have sacrificed that for the Constitution of the United States. But yet, it's that same Constitution that states that black man and woman are only 3/5 human or 60%. It's in that Constitution. They were fighting for it, but that's the same Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, that says the black man is 3/5 of a human. 60% for you math people. You're not a whole human. And remember, I told you that is the root of inequality in America. Because if I consider myself a whole and you're only 60% whole, then you can't have the same equality with me. Because 3/5 doesn't equal a whole. So you can't have equal rights. That's the whole thing in a nutshell with that key piece in the Constitution. And black man and woman, white people, brown, red, yellow, understand that part of the Constitution that allows my Caucasian brothers and sisters to mistreat us like they do because the Constitution says it's okay. They're not human. They're only 60% human. They're subhuman. Sub means under. The same Constitution that under the 14th Amendment, which was supposed to offset the Article 1, Section 2 piece, it was supposed to set that off because it was supposed to give the original people the right to citizenship. They were supposed to have the right to citizenship. and all that is granted to the citizens of America. But that's been a problem. It's a point of contention here in America. Because even though the 14th Amendment was designed to make you a citizen, you still have not got citizens' rights. And as you see later on, it becomes worse. The original people, it gave the original people in the 14th Amendment the right to vote. Because they're now so-called citizens. Okay? They went hand in hand. And that same Constitution gave us the 15th Amendment, which is the right to vote. And in 1965, the VRA, Voting Rights Act, was signed to protect black people's right to vote. The 14th gave you citizenship. The 15th gave you the right to vote through the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But what has happened, Brother Rams? But Chief Justice John Roberts and his Republican cronies on the bench have obliterated the VRA. They've obliterated. They've knocked out Section 4. They've knocked out Section 2, making it useless. And this has allowed the Jim Crow 2.0 to rise again in the South. Remember, the South kept saying after the Civil War, the South shall rise again. Well, they're rising again through the Supreme Court. And I told you, I have an issue with the Supreme Court and all Congress. They must have term limits. They are destroying America. The Supreme Court is destroying America. The Congress can't act, can't do their job. We got one party that refuses to do its job, therefore making the whole Congress ineffective. Term limits. If we don't get term limits, America's going to hell in a handbasket. Mark my word. Mark my word. So it gave rise to the Jim Crow 2.0 in the South. Man, as soon as the rulings came down from the Supreme Court, they were redrawing those maps faster you can say your name. Faster you can say your name, brothers and sisters. And what does it do? This new redistricting has disenfranchised and diluted black voting power. So even though you were given the right to vote, we're not going to make it worth anything. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part, brothers and sisters. And that's something we all must understand. But I'm going to pivot here a little bit. I'm going to pivot a little bit and go to the title of this. And the title of this podcast is going to be President Trump's Corruption Spree Continues. President Trump's corruption spree continues. All right? Let's take a look at that, brothers and sisters. His corruption. Since taking over as president, he has generated between, get this, 1.4 billion and 4.2 billion for himself, put in his own pockets. That type of money. 1.4 billion to 4.2 billion. He only been in office 18 months. His worth now is between 6.1 billion, 6.1 billion, and 7.1 billion. But before all of this, returning to the Oval Office, his worth was estimated to be about 2.3 million to 3.4. So now he's between 6 and 7 billion, when before he was between 2 and 3. You think he's enriching himself? How's he enriching himself? Let's take a look at how. One of the big schemes going, I say this to all black peoples out there and brothers and sisters of any other race or ethnicity, don't get involved in that cryptocurrency. It's a scam. I'm telling you it's a scam. They've invested into this cryptocurrency. I'm going to tell you how that scam game works in a minute. Okay? He invested 1.3 billion to 1.8 billion in cryptocurrency. Now, what's the scam about that, brother? Because this is what they do. They buy large amounts of it. And therefore, what does it do? It drives the price up because the demand becomes what? High. So it drives the price up. So now they're making money. Then what do they do at the end? They sell it off at a profit. Because remember, if it went from $5 to $20, if I sell off my shares, I'd have made $15 profit. I'd have made a profit. And then guess what happens next, though? They bottom out. They sell all their stocks. So now the price plummets. So the little fella on the ground who got in didn't know too much. Now his cryptocurrency ain't worth a hill of beans. There's the scam with cryptocurrency because it's backed by nothing. There's no gold standard. There's nothing behind it. There's no GDP. There's nothing. That's why it's a scam. So he made money off the cryptocurrency. Corruption. That's a form of corruption because he can control the market. And anytime I can wait till it gets sky high and then drop the bottom out of it. And guess who gets left holding the bag? The little guy. Cryptocurrency. All right. Another area of corruption. Media and merchandising. Ain't never seen nothing like this in your life. Think about it. This is the president hustling out the White House. He's hustling. He's selling $100,000 watches, man. He's selling $1,000 guitars and sneakers and hustling. That's corruption because it's unethical. You don't hustle out the White House. You don't hustle out the White House, brothers and sisters. That's part form of corruption. And Bibles. Remember the Trump Bible? Don't touch that Bible, y'all. You might likely get struck dead. If he got his name on it, don't you touch that Bible. Don't you trust that Bible. And then guess what? His wife even got in on the deal. Oh, yeah. She got a $28 million payout for the documentary she did called Melania. She got $28 million. They haven't made $28 million on that movie. It cost Bezos $40 million. He ain't nowhere near recouping that money. But yet still he paid her $28 million. Corruption, baby. To make a movie that didn't have a snowball's chance in hell to do well. So why did Bezos invest that $40 million? He did that because he's going to get it on the other end from Trump. That's how the scam works. That's how the corruption works. I'll put in 40 towards you, but you're going to get me back 200 million through tax breaks and this and that. Corruption. Okay? That's a key piece. All right? Let me give you another area of corruption. Ready? The Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. You know that pool that sits in front of the Lincoln Memorial and it's like a pool of water, but it's like made of mirror. Okay? It's the reflecting pool. Okay? He's changing it. But guess what he gave? A no bid contract. No bid contract means you already got it regardless whether you're qualified or not. So automatically, when you give a no bid contract, this type of contracts are ripe for corruption. Why? Because what it does is subject to over exaggerated costs. Oh man, instead of it being 1 million, it's really 3 million. I'm gonna say it's 3. Then what do? I give you back 1 million. A kickback. There's no bid. So you get a kickback. And guess who picked the company? Trump. He had final authorization over it. So in other words, you got to grease my palm. Whatever you call for is cool, but you're going to grease my palm at the end. Corruption. If he had did it in a way that allowed other companies to bid, I can see that. And here's the key factor. There's no oversight. Nobody saying yay, nay, or tray, or bleed jay. Nothing. Let's move to another one. One of the president's pets, the White House ballroom. That's corruption too. All right. It was originally estimated to cost $200 million, and now it's at least double that cost. Okay. Now originally you were told that it would be a gift paid by Trump and a network of wealthy donors rather than taxpayers. Rather than taxpayers, brothers and sisters. However, Trump had also requested funding from Congress to help with the overarching security enhancements. Now, let me stop right there, brothers and sisters. Let me stop. He didn't talk nothing about security enhancement, security when he decided to tear that down. He just wanted a bigger meeting place, a place for him to host his billionaire, millionaire friends. You and I ain't going in that ballroom. No, we're not. Plus, we the wrong color. Mm-hmm. So that's important, brothers, to understand. This man, he added the security thing after that dude came through the uh, 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 um, that dinner, the dinner for the news people. You know, and that guy went through there shooting and whatnot. Now that becomes an issue with the ballroom. Now we got to have better security. You already had security. We know underneath all that is tunnels and all kind of stuff. But now he propped that up. Okay? That's not the deal. That's not the deal at all. So, but when he did this, when he tore down the East Wing, there's an organization, and these are some of the legal issues he's facing by tearing down the East Wing of the White House. Oh, yeah, and he also repaved the Rose Garden. Again, these are violations. And who was it a violation of? Says there's an organization called the National Trust for Historic Preservation is now suing the administration. They're suing Donald Trump. Why? Because they claim this massive teardown violates preservation laws and requires explicit congressional approval. But little was known about these companies that demolished it, nor are they little was known about the construction companies that's going to be choose to build the ballroom. Again, no oversight. And that's a key factor, brothers and sisters. This is a form of corruption. This is a form of corruption, my brothers and sisters. And that's something we all got to understand. It's a forms of corruption that our president is engaged in, making money hand over fist. Making money hand over fist, brothers and sisters. Here's some more companies that Trump has magically decided to get involved in for profit. Imagine he's the president. There's certain ethical things you cannot do. If it's ethical, it's an ethics issue. It's also a legal issue. They have it in Congress, the ethics committee. In other words, like I said, give you an example. You in charge of the money for an organization. You in charge of the money. And then next thing you know, when they want to divvy out some more money, they have to go through you. Not through a process of filing for an application, this, that, and the third. They got to grease your palm first. So he circumvents that whole process by bypassing Congress. Now, in fairness, presidents do have the right for renovations. That's okay. You want new curtains. You want to paint this room. You want to change this color. Sure. The president has that authority. You want to change the chandeliers. You can do that. The part about tearing things down is a whole different ball game, brothers and sisters. All right? Now let's look at some of the companies that Trump has violated at least ethical laws. The first one is Dell Technologies. Dell Technologies. Trump purchased between 1 million and 5 million in Class A shares. Approximately 3 months later, get this, he purchased between 1 and 5 million shares. 3 months later, he publicly endorsed and praised Dell hardware at a White House event, sending the stock up roughly 13% for Dell Technologies. That's a form like insider trading. The president advertising for a company that he bought stock in. It's okay to have advertised. You want to say, I want you to buy Ford. I want you to buy American cars. That's okay. But then you don't buy stock in a company and then turn around and praise them and promote them. That's ethical violation, which is illegal, which is on the verge of corruption. Dell Technology. Another one. Micron Technology. Okay? He purchased shares of Micron, and the following day, he couldn't help himself. He purchased shares of Micron Technology, and the very next day he was on Fox publicly endorsing the company as one of the hottest companies in the U.S. What do you think that did to the stock? The stock went up. And guess who made a profit? Donald Trump. That's all corruption because it's sort of a form of insider trading. Because he's controlling the market. He's done the same thing with the oil. Did you notice that? Well, the war in Iran just about over. The oil's going to be flowing and everybody going to be good and we're going to have plenty of money. When the prices went sky high for oil, guess who made money? Trump and his billionaire oil people. who contributed to his campaign. See that corruption? Now you can contribute, but it's based on what? Trump playing with the market. Then when things don't look good, the market drops. The market drops and the price of gas goes sky high. But that can be good for Trump, but it's bad for the Americans. But like I said, he don't care about no American. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, brothers and sisters. President Trump sent his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff to negotiate peace with Israel in Gaza. Now, neither one of these guys has any diplomatic experience. They are both real estate developers. Why would you send a real estate developer over to deal with diplomacy? He sent these same two to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine. Steve Witkoff, you remember Jared Kushner trying to negotiate peace with Russia and Ukraine? How did that work out? The other day, just last night, Russia bombed the hell out of Ukraine. Nothing's been accomplished except to give Putin more time to regroup. These two incompetent, and I say incompetent, these two incompetent diplomats were there to get what? I'm going to tell you what happened. They were there to get the minerals from Ukraine. Remember we had that land deal? Trump had that deal with Ukraine? I'll get them to stop the war, but I get part of your land and your minerals. See? Corruption. Is that quid pro quo? Is that quid pro quo? You think about it. Because Ukraine, one of the main minerals they have is lithium. You know what's used to make the batteries? And they were sent there, Kushner and Witkoff, to negotiate the mineral deal. They wasn't there to negotiate no peace. They wanted Ukraine to give up the land to Russia. Remember? And then Trump their security would come from Trump coming in there and digging the minerals out. And because we're there, then Russia won't attack. But who's to say they won't attack after you're done? And that's what Ukraine was saying. We need security guarantees. Okay? But meanwhile, he's sending these two over there, these two incompetent dudes. But where's Marco Rubio? Isn't Marco Rubio our Secretary of State? He should be in charge of these negotiations. And guess who was in charge of negotiation? Senator John Kerry for President Obama. He negotiated an Iran agreement. Took 3 years from 2012 to 2015 before they got an agreement. And I'm going to tell you, quiet is kept. One of the reasons why Iran agreed to that deal that would slow them down for enriching uranium, and Obama gave them some money back. Yeah, he gave them money back because they had held their money. The sanction held their money. They wanted to, you got to give a little, get a little. But he had promises that they weren't going after no nuclear weapon. They had checks and balances in place. And that took 3 years. Senator John Kerry and his group, they had scientific experts talking about this. They did their due diligence. And now I'm going to give you another factor that helped. Brothers and sisters, I got to give you another factor. Barack Obama's a black man. They wanted to deal with a black man. They were proud to deal with him. Now we can get some straight answers. He came to them and said, come on, baby, we got to make a deal because this other guy from this other country, He wants to bomb you to death, and we ain't going with that, because that's not going to be good for America in the long run, as we see. So, brothers and sisters, they did not make any peace. And Marco Rubio, he's not done he don't understand his role as Secretary of State. He really doesn't. Like Senator John Kerry did for President Obama. See, Obama was efficient, brother. And that's what gets Donald Trump's behind. Loved all over the place. Everywhere you go, crowds cheering and clapping. Where Trump goes, a lot of people are booing. That eats him up because he's an ego. He's what Dr. John Gartner and Dr. Lance Dotis have said about him. He's a malignant narcissist. Look him up. Dr. John Gartner and Dr. Lance Dotis. All right? It's important. And one of the things is, instead, Kushner and Wickoff were brokering land deals when they went to the Middle East to deal with this Iran thing. They wasn't there to make no peace. They were there to make land deals. They made big deals with who? UAE, United Arab Emirates. They made deals with Saudi Arabia. They made deals with Qatar. They made deals with Kuwait, enriching the Trump family while in office. Remember the little sleepy Joe Biden's son, Hunter? He made him a few little dollars, and them Republicans almost crapped on themselves because he made a few little dollars. Ain't nothing compared to the Trump family. They going all over the world making land deals and getting hooked up. They ain't concerned. They about as concerned about peace as the man on the moon. That's why I didn't understand why Marco Rubio ain't in there. Like he should be, like a true Secretary of State. All right? So as Trump enriches himself and his family, Trump gave a television interview. Remember this one? I want everybody to remember this. When asked, brothers and sisters, pay attention. When asked about Americans and their financial situation, this is what this president said about it. He was truthful. Finally, he was truthful. Because remember, he's a pathological liar, but he finally told the truth. And the truth is, he says he doesn't think about Americans and their financial situation. Good God, man. He just told you, I don't give a damn about you paying high price for gas. I don't give a damn about you struggling to get food on your table. I don't give a damn about your health care costs. I don't think about nobody. All I think about is making sure Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. Quote, unquote. That's what he did. That's what he said. And he cares about you, America. He told the truth. I don't care about your financial situation. You just bitching and moaning. Really? Talk to the farmers of America, brother. Mr. Trump talked to the farmers. He went to China. And China sent him back home like a wet dog. We ain't agreeing to nothing. Only thing I'm gonna tell you is this: when we take over Taiwan, you better not flinch. I said, uh-oh. There's gonna be trouble. There's gonna be conflict. And this is what he said. That he was more concerned about Iran getting a nuclear weapon. And that's important to understand, brothers and sisters. That's important to understand. Democrats should now flood the airwaves with this. They should be shown at every chance they get him saying that about the American financial situation. With the interview over and over again, they should be showing it. As Trump and his family get richer, while average Americans are suffering financially. Higher gas prices, higher food costs, inflation, health care costs. He don't care about that mess. He could care less. He could care less, brothers and sisters. I'm going to pivot a little bit, but I'm also going to, it's still related to Trump corruption. Recently, they've been talking about the outbreak of the Ebola virus. Uh-oh. Very dangerous virus. Very deadly virus. And this outbreak has occurred in the Congo. But guess why it's occurred and why it's getting out of control? Remember, U.S. aid was cut. The guardrail to stopping the spread of these Ebola was with the U.S. aid. They would help contain these viruses and keep it from spreading. That was one of their main jobs. Remember, U.S. aid did two main things, as most aid to Africa is about. It's about famine and it's about vaccination. Keeping the population from not spreading and also feeding the population. Trump and his ally, Elon Musk, immediately took away billions of dollars in U.S. aid to the U.S. Aid Foundation, agency. Took away billions. What did they do with it? And this is where the corruption comes in. They've put us in a potential world crisis because Ebola, if it spreads, if it comes to America, America's in trouble. You thought COVID was bad. Ebola's a monster. And we had that under check. We had it contained with U.S. aid. But now Elon Musk has gutted all that. So now these people traveling all over the world might have Ebola. Okay? Now, where the corruption comes in is that the money that was used by U.S. aid, is now being used to give American billionaires and millionaires a huge tax break. And you can take that and let it alone, but it's the truth. When you give someone a tax break, you got to make up the money some way that they would have got from them. So what they do, they immediately cut USA because it contains they use billions of dollars. And that's important, brothers and sisters. But now I'm going to turn to the big one that everyone's talking about. Corruption. See, all this was part of corruption. Now we're getting to the real nitty-gritty of corruption in the Trump administration. And that's called this anti-weaponization fund. I call it the criminal slush fund. It's called the anti-weaponization fund. And let me give you a little background on it. The administration settled and will now spend $1.776 billion of the taxpayers' money to pay people who say the government targeted them politically. What? Yeah, the anti-weaponization fund. Now I'm going to give you the backstory of that. All right? Trump sued the IRS and the Treasury in January for $10 billion over the leak of his 2019 tax return. The IRS leaked his 2019 tax return. But there's a problem, brother. Here's the problem, brothers and sisters. They leaked his 2019 tax return, but Trump was the president in charge of both agencies, the IRS and the Treasury. He's in charge of both agencies. Corruption, conflict of interest. In essence, he's suing his own government. Instead of taking a typical straight payout settlement, this new settlement, he turned it into a government program. Look how slick it was. It was a $10 billion lawsuit. So, lawsuits can be settled. So instead, he said, no, let's settle it. What I'll do instead is I want to turn this into a government program. What does that do when you turn it into a government program? This shields decisions on who gets the money from the courts and limits information about what the public knows about where the money goes. Good God, man. You can't ask where that money went. If that ain't corruption, like Elizabeth Warren said, this is corruption on steroids. You can't ask about this money, where the funds went. Okay? And that's important to understand. This settlement gives Trump, his sons, and the Trump organization, they gave him a formal apology. They gave him a formal apology. But no money. Instead, it bars the IRS. Here's a key point, brothers and sisters. Pay attention to this. This is a key part of this sentence. It bars the IRS from auditing Trump's past tax returns. They can't go back in the past and audit nothing. Okay? Now, how does this work? The acting AG, Todd Blanche, former Trump defense lawyer, created this anti-weaponization fund. That's why he got rid of Pam Bondi. That's one of the reasons, because this was coming up. Also with the Treasury Department, Judgment Fund, who is what? Headed by, this is what you got to understand, brothers and sisters, headed by a Trump cabinet member, Scott Bessent. So let's look at it. You got Trump's personal defense lawyer as acting AG, which is, to me, ethics violation right there. He should not be in there at all. And the Treasury Department, headed by who? Scott Bessent. How does it work? The AG, Todd Blanche, will handpick a 5-member commission that decides who will get money from the fund, which ends in December 2028. These decisions, key right here, pay attention, these decisions cannot be appealed or challenged in court. It's a slush fund. We get all the money we want, you better not say nothing. And we don't have to account for it either. Stealing, corruption. Classic example. This settlement does not require public disclosure of the payouts. We don't have to tell you who we paid. With tax money, we don't have to tell you who paid. And the settlement lets anti-war fund spend part of the 1.776 billion. They get a chance. The fund itself gets the chance to spend some of the money on itself. And again, such as like travel and facilities, but they don't have to report it to nobody. Corruption. Today, corruption is in full view. And this is what Trump is about: corruption, enriching himself. And like he said, he don't give a damn about American citizens and their financial situation. We're in a war that he can't get out of, and Iran is just playing him like a cheap fiddle. Everything he does is chaotic. And I'm going to say this before I sign off for today. Have you looked at his cabinet lately? Again, he's gotten rid of most of the women in there. Only one left, I think, is Susie Wiles, his chief of staff. Look at it. Christy Nome, gone. Oh, and by the way, she was in there stealing too. She was in there corrupt. Her and Corey Lewandowski. She's gone. Christy Nome. Pam Bondi. Now that was the ultimate ass kisser. And he still got rid of her. Told you he has a problem with women. Secretary of Agriculture. Secretary of Labor. Her name is DeReamers. They forced her to resign. Okay? And now, recently, Tulsi Gabbard. So most of the women are gone. Chaos. Because he made bad decisions. He hired people who were not qualified. And he can talk about DEI and not qualified. Most of his staff wasn't qualified. Hegseth still ain't qualified. Robert K. Jr., he's still not satisfied. He's still not, uh, 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 what do you call it? When he's not up to power as far as his ability. He's not. He's not. So chaos is what you see. We're in a war. We have no way. We have no way to get out. We're in a recession. We're in hard economic times. No way out. Chaos. This is the Trump presidency. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to get rich while I'm in this office. Because that was my point anyway. His point was two things. His point was to avoid going to jail and to enrich himself. In America, you fell into the trap. So, brothers and sisters, I want to say to you, I enjoy talking with you. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Continue supporting me. Tell a friend, tell anybody, but pass this word on. That's important to me. So again, thank you so much for listening. May God bless you and keep you safe. As I close out in God's name. Amen.